So we have a rare opportunity now to have a few minutes with the president of a startup that has 180,000 employees, which is called Orange, and a huge player, of course, in the internet. Didier Lombard, CEO of Orange. Thank you very much for taking the time, Didier. Welcome. We'll please have a seat.
Merci. Thank you.
My pleasure, Didier. So I had only one request. We're so happy you're here with us. I had only one request is just, I wanted to make sure you would have the same socks as when I saw you last time.
As usual.
A very famous color, as you can see. So Didier, thank you for joining us. Welcome to LeWeb'08. And we are going to open 2 questions. So please think about questions for Didier Lombard, the CEO of Orange. And we will start ourselves with a few questions.
Okay.
So I was thinking we could start talking about how you feel yourself about the current the current market conditions. How are you impacted? How do you think how bad do you think recession is? How do you think it's something short term? We're overreacting to the markets, or do you think we're going through a long crisis we should all adapt to?
To be transparent, in fact, as you know, the telecom sector is always more resilient than all the other sectors of the economy when a crisis like the one we are supposed to be now is happening. If you look at all the statistics of the previous crisis, fortunately the service sector, and especially the telecom sector, is more resilient than all the others, first. The second thing is France Telecom during the last years, the last 3 years, has been a little bit modified, as you know, with a lot of equilibrium between what happened in France, what happened abroad, what we do with the network, what we do with the service, what we do with fast-growing markets, what we do with incumbent part of our activity, which means that we are well balanced in front of the crisis. So if something happens somewhere, we can compensate by activities in other geographies or in other activities. So the result of that is, for the time being, we have no impact from the crisis on our activities. But nobody can say today that he will never be impacted. So what we are ready to do is to adapt full-time, real-time to what will happen. In fact, we are in front of you have twofold in this crisis. You have the real financial crisis with the real estate problem, which are on the other continent and perhaps in Spain. And so the financial crisis, let's say, on one side, and a kind of confidence crisis which came in because the people don't trust all the others, each other. If we succeed during the following months, if the government succeed in reintroducing confidence in all this network of business, I think we can escape a dramatic event. And I hope this will be done. All the steps which has been covered by the government, the G20 and everything like that, are, of course, focused in this direction. And of course, we are pushing very hard in all the geographies to help to say to the people, nothing has changed in your day-to-day life. In the normal geography, you don't have today real impact. But the people believe that they are in danger. So you have to reintroduce confidence in the economy of the different countries. If something more difficult happens, then of course we will have to adapt. But let us envisage the other assumption.
Where are you taking Orange? I mean, this is a huge company, and you have a lot of different options ahead of you. And so we see Orange, of course, being in its tradition positioning of well, basically providing, bandwidth, mobile services, but you also do content. And recently, you've been through the Orange portals and through the brands adding more and more content. You have a lot of different activities. Where is your focus? Where are you going?
Orange, France Telecom and Orange, originally, we are a network company. We are a telco. And you have always to keep in mind, we have always to keep in mind that basically we are a telco, it's our basic competence, we remain a telco. And on this field, there is a lot of things to do because, as you know, we are in front of a world where all the networks are evolving very, very quickly. The bandwidth of the network is changing very quickly. We are installing wideband mobile everywhere, and we are on the way to install wideband fiber optics everywhere also. So it's our basic responsibility, and of course, we have to fulfill this responsibility. If you leave your native job, it's very bad. So we are on this major activity. We are very focused, and we continue to invest to deploy wide bandwidth network. If you don't have networks, forget about everything, including your marvelous symposium. So
right.
You need to have networks. That's the key first. The second thing is that, as I have tried to explain in many paper, intervention, books, and so on, Internet has brought a lot of activity on top of that. You have the service, you have the content, and we have now a kind of integrated economy where all these business interact together. Therefore, if you are only a network provider, you don't get all the value from the networks that you need to get. And so Orange, at the same time, is developing services, providing contents to our customer. We are a player in the field of internet, and we will continue in this field, which means, when I want to summarize that, I say we walk on two legs. One leg is a little bit longer and bigger than the other. It's the network, and the second leg deals with internet, content, services, and all these activities. But we need both to get all the value from our activity. If we are only on one field, which is the case for some of our competitors, it means that we lose a lot of possible value which we can get from our basic job.
So if you allow me, Didier, there is a connection here because you're talking about content, and Paulo Coelho was just here and explaining everyone that as an author, he likes to share with everyone, and that the more he puts his book and his work to be downloaded off the internet, the more books he sells. And so that all authors should share more, and that's the main goal of an author. So I'm sure you have, is it the way you see the content?
It's a curious statement, because when you are author of books, and if you look at the return on the many hours you need to write any books, you find that the return on investment is very small. So I cannot believe that he's serious when he believes that the revenues coming from the books can finance everything. It's obviously not true. You have to go back to the principles of thermodynamics. If you spend something somewhere, you have to find the revenues somewhere to finance it. It can be different from the very traditional model where you have the spend, and in front of that you have the customer, he pays, and it's a very old-fashioned transaction. So it can be very more adapted to the present situation of the web, where you have a lot of flux of revenues which comes from a different source, but at the end of the game, you have to pay the guys who make the value. The authors on one side, the networks, thank you for me, and all the people who are involved. The models are quite different from the traditional model which we have with billing directly the peoples, but we need to have some money somewhere to feed all these people. So I think it's unrealistic to believe that you will share everything and you will come back to the period of the paradise where everything was free. You don't forget that the snake has come in the game and it has destroyed the freedom model.
But that's what you're doing, right? You're sharing your tubes, the bandwidth, the network that you're building with a lot of companies that are making a lot of money out of it.
Yes, but there is somewhere when we share all that, you know, there are we have advertisement, we have content activities, we have revenues which doesn't come directly from with the same simple model we had before, but there are some revenue somewhere.
How about the US versus Europe question, where we know that, I mean, to put it bluntly, correct me if I'm wrong, but the internet is really US dominated in terms of players. Like if you think obviously about, well, our other partners, thank you Orange for being a partner, but like Facebook, you know, Google, MySpace, all the social software and the search is really US dominated. As a major industrial figure and company in France and in Europe, how do you think we can fix it?
First of all, you have to remind a little bit from the recent history of all the technology of information technology. The story has been a replication of the same model several times. In the very old days, a lot of you were not born at that time, IBM has dominated the hardware. And he has become, let's say, a kind of monopoly, very strong monopoly. But on the other side, he has brought a lot of technology available for everybody. Then the monopoly has been broken. He moved to other activity, and the story continues. The second step has been software, where Microsoft has brought a very sophisticated software activities, which allow everybody to enter the game, which was not possible earlier, because if you remember the system we had before, it was a nightmare to program the machine. So Microsoft has brought something which is very important for the progress of humanity in this field. It becomes a monopoly, and then it has been destroyed. It is no more a monopoly. There are the free software system and so on. Okay. Now we come to the search activity. When internet deployed, you had thousands, millions, billions of servers everywhere around the world, and it was impossible to find its way normally on the web. I remember a period of time which is not so long away. All the players pass some list of address where you can find the marvelous server will give you the movies or whatever. Then Google comes, he has a monopoly. He has the same behavior as all the others before that. He creates foundation, he wants to be very kind with everybody. Nevertheless, he is very strong and he is on one side of the Atlantic. It will not be the end of the world, it's not the end of life. We will have new period after that.
So you're saying
First of all, the monopoly will be destroyed.
Wait, can you explain? Because that's interesting.
You will have some other people who will provide services with search engine more sophisticated. And in fact, what will happen is, I think, in the field of video, there is a large field open to find the appropriate video on the net. Even now, if you look for a video on the net, you are in front of billions of videos which you cannot find.
So you think the next thing is video search?
Probably the next step will be video search. You will have a big company who will
they have YouTube, right?
Domination.
So they have YouTube.
Perhaps it will be Google, but it can be somebody else. And
is this an official announcement that Orange is getting into a video search?
We work on that, but don't sell the product before we have it.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's an important step. So we are, with all these layers, progressively, and what we have to do in Europe is to take all the decision to be in a position to provide these new services on top of the others to facilitate the life of the internet people.
Are you working with your friends like Dutch Telecom and British Telecom?
We are discussing with them, which is an important step.
So before I take one question, if you can prepare it and have a mic ready. This is very interesting. So Orange is moving into video search and to try to compete with
And what is important, I don't know if it is video search, which will be the next step, but what is important that our people, young people, works on open APIs to deploy the new things which can be dominated on the net for the future.
Okay.
So we'll try to do all we can do to facilitate that.
So you have a room here full of startups and entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And how can they be acquired by Orange?
You know, I am quite interested. You know why? Because they are more intelligent than we are.
That's
So
for sure.
if they work for us, we will be more powerful.
I see. But so you acquire companies, right? What is, like, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure a few people here would love to join, to be acquired by Orange. What are your criteria? Are you interested in startups? What are you looking for? Is working with your APIs and integrating with Orange the first step that you're interested in?
You know, I have referred recently to what I say the bazaar mode in terms of R&D, which means that if you believe that you will invent everything yourself forever, in the world where we are living now, you are dead because you are too slow, you don't know everything, so you have to take advantage that there are thousands of people who can provide some step to facilitate the deployment of new things, and if you help them, at the end of the game, you help yourself at the same time. And you have to work as a kind of network. You will be more powerful, and it will avoid you to arrive late at the final step. I think one of the reasons of the fact that Europe is not really ahead is because we are late in, and we think with always our marvelous organization. We try to build a cathedral each time, and it's not the way we can succeed on the net.
Are you going to invest, like one of the things we all struggle from is difficult in Europe, more difficult to find business angels, to find the seed investment, and even venture capitalists sometimes is not as fast as in other places. Are you doing anything with this in terms of helping startups?
We have some subsidiary of France Telecom who do this kind of business, but more important, we have created something which I have called the Orange Village, which is a part of France Telecom, which is not really in the organization.
Orange Village,
Orange
on
Village.
the side.
They don't have to follow the rules of the group,
Okay.
which gives them a lot of freedom.
What do they do?
And their target is only to invent innovation, which are rupture innovation.
And invest?
The ideas are interesting for me if they are not in continuity with the present situation.
Who do we call?
And the next step will be to open that to external.
Okay, so I guess we
members.
go to the Orange booth and we can contact with them. So we
Okay.
have one question here. Can you stand up and introduce yourself, please?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom Morris. I'm here as a blogger, but I'm asking as an Orange customer. I'm an Orange customer in the UK, and I'm just wondering about data prices. In the UK, the data which I have used in the last few days would have cost me £3 or £4 as an Orange customer. Here, roaming, it would have cost me £600 to £700. We're part of a common market. Can't we sort this out? This is 2008. Why is it costing so much for data, for roaming?
You have to ask the UK regulator, which will give you the answer. I don't want to enter in details on that because it depends on the local situation. And the regulation in UK is one of the, let's say, less efficient we know because for a lot of reasons. And the situation he described depends on that.
No, please keep going, Didier.
I am not here to give you to open a discussion with the UK regulator.
So it's not only Orange that can solve this.
It's not only Orange, it's all the UK market which is on this case.
Okay, so how can we work best with Orange? Like just like as a startup myself, I'm very interested. How do we get into your millions of people portals on the phone and on the Orange.fr? How do we get promoted as a startup? What's the best way to do this?
The best way, of course, is to get in touch with the people in the Orange labs and the techno centers. The day after tomorrow, I will be in London to open a new techno center in Bristol and London. And in fact, there are the future contact points of the community, because one of their tasks is obviously to enter in a dialogue with the local people.
Is there any way we can help? This room help you? Get more connected to. And this ecosystem?
Well, as far as this group gets the information that we are open, it's a major step.
All right. Well, Didier, thank you very much for supporting us doing this event here. That's already a very, very good thing you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'll let you go back to your startup. Thank you, Didier. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.